Facebook. Hi, this is Nick, the preacher from The Preacher and the Gym Guy, and the preacher's better half. That would be my wife, and she is definitely the better half. So I get to sit today is sermon prep day for Sunday's message, and so I have my coffee, which is cold now, and I hate cold coffee, but I also have my water, and because they say you should drink 2 cups of water for every cup of coffee, and then you'll go to the bathroom a lot. I can guarantee you that. Anyway, so today we are going to talk about substance and what it looks like to live a substantial life. And so I need to beg the question, how are we going to define what it looks like to live a substantial life? Is it defined by how much money you make? Is it defined by how successful you are in your career? Is it defined by the house you live in, or the car you drive, or the clothes you wear? Or is it defined by how much you love people? Is it defined by how many people you can affect for good in the world? Is it defined by how you can walk through hard situations? And so, just very briefly, I just want to kind of help guide our thinking on that. Jesus said in the book of John, it's the 4th book in the New Testament, and it's called one of the Gospels, which is just the story of Jesus' life, how he lived, and then how he died for us on the cross. But he said, the thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy, but I have come that they may have life and have it more abundantly. And so we could place in where it says have it more abundantly to say that Jesus came so that we could have life and to have it substantially. And then Paul, he is a guy who used to kill Christians and anyone who followed Jesus, anyone who loved Jesus, and he thought that he was doing what God wanted him to do, until one day he was walking on the road and Jesus miraculously revealed himself to Paul, and Paul had a miraculous conversion and began to follow Jesus, and he became one of the most well-known missionaries for Jesus that has ever lived. And I would say that he lived, as I read about him throughout the book of Acts in the Bible, he lived a very substantial life. And he says this in the book of Philippians. It's a letter that he wrote to a church in the city of Philippi. He said this: I've learned the secret to having plenty, and I've learned the secret to being in need. And the secret is, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And so I've come to feel like that phrase, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, is kind of like that phrase YOLO. You remember that? It was a thing. I don't know if it's still a thing, but it was a thing 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. But it means you only live once. And that's one of those phrases that can be very motivating. It can motivate you to do something that you otherwise would not do, but it can also be one of those phrases, I feel like, that people use right before they do something really stupid. Like bungee jumping, for example. Who would ever bungee jump? That's just crazy. Skydiving, yes, maybe. Bungee jumping, that's nuts. Anyway, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me seems to be one of those phrases that gets abused in that way a little bit, because we say, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, as something where we're asking God to help us make more money, say. Or say I wanted to get in the ring against Ronda Rousey. That's not going to happen. I don't think I'm going to win that fight unless I get really lucky. But it's not a situation where I would say, hey, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, and then go do something that dumb, right? No, Paul was saying, I've learned the secret to having a lot of money or having no money. The secret is that I can live this life because I have Jesus to give me strength. And so essentially what Paul meant and what Jesus meant is that the abundant life that Jesus seeks to give us, or you could say the substantial life that he seeks to give us and that he seeks for us to live, has nothing to do with external circumstances. It has nothing to do with how much money we have or make. It has nothing to do with the kind of house we live in. It has nothing to do with the car we drive or the clothes we wear. It has everything to do with the kind of relationship we have with God and the kind of relationship we seek to have with other people. Jesus said to his disciples, he said, "A new command I leave for you, that you would love one another." A substantial life is defined by how well we are loved by God. Do we know that we're loved by God? And do we live to reflect that kind of love? A substantial life says that even in the midst of pain, and even in the midst of suffering, and even in the midst of, I don't know how I'm going to pay that next bill, or whatever hardship is happening in your life, you can still find joy. You can still find substance in life because of what Jesus has done for you, rather than sitting in shame and guilt and depression and sorrow because you measure your life by material things. And so even though those emotions and those hurts and those pains are very, very real, Paul said the secret to all of that is to understand I can live through it because it's Jesus that gives me strength. And so when we think about a substantial life, that's what it is a relationship with Jesus and a relationship with the God of the universe, and the ability to, because God loves us, to love other people and to affect other people well in this life. So, respond, message below. What do you think about substance in life? We would love to chat with you. So we'll talk to you next time, and have a great week.